The onset of war in 1939 changed the lives of all who lived in Eastern Europe, as first the Nazis and then the Communists offered nothing but fear and oppression, and in due course football became an instrument of the state. All the more remarkable then that so soon after the war, the region should come up with both a great goalscorer and a great team. In 1954, Sandor Kocsis, the centre-forward for Hungary, scored 11 goals in the World Cup, but still finished up on the losing side. I'm here in Budapest to learn more about Kocsis and to find out why Hungary were the best team never to win the World Cup. Hungary reached the final of the last competition in 1938, losing 4-2 to Italy. But now, 16 years later, an even greater team emerged, completely committed to attack. Sandor Kocsis died in tragic circumstances in 1979, but some of his famous colleagues are still with us, including the greatest Hungarian footballer of all time, Ferenc Puskás. Well, the Galloping Major, as they used to call him, lives down here. God, that was him. Galloping.
Ferenc, how are you? Minden jót. Quiero que seas bueno, inteligente y hay mucho dinero.
Why do you think it is that so many great players arrived at the same time in Hungary?
Well, this was a very special time for Hungarian football. The teams were very strong, and we were trying our best to continue this tradition. I was very lucky. My father was a trainer, and we played football 8 hours a day. We also had a lot of fun and enjoyed it greatly. And as time went by, we developed into quite a serious team.
Nagyon sokat szórakoztunk, és egész komoly csapat jött ki belőle.
Puskás and his Hungarian teammates announced their talents to the world when they came to Wembley for a friendly in 1953 and completely demolished England with a style of football never seen in this country.
It's a goal, my goodness! Oh, a lovely goal!
Completing the triumvirate in that classic Magyar team was Nándor Hidegkuti. He scored a hat-trick in the 6-3 win at Wembley. It looks like they're still rubbing it in.
It was a great sensation all over the world that the English team, which for 90 years had not lost, finally was beaten.
They arrived in Switzerland for the 1954 World Cup as strong favourites, with the whole of Europe expecting to see Puskás, Hidegkuti and Kocsis crowned champions. What sort of player was Sandor Kocsis?
Szonyi Kocsis had a unique quality. He was excellent in the air. A good example of this is the 13 goals he scored in the 1954 World Cup. 7 or 8 of the 13 were headers. That was characteristic of him. He was a very intelligent and innovative player, so many people were pleased when they had the opportunity to play with him.
Having scored a hat-trick in his opening game, Kocsis thumped home 4 goals as the Hungarians beat a deliberately weakened West Germany 8-3. He then added 4 more in the quarter and semi-final victories over Brazil and Uruguay. Kocsis' carpet of 11 goals transported Hungary into the final, but at the Wankdorf Stadium, the Germans had come prepared. This time, German coach Sepp Herberger fielded a full-strength team, so even when Hungary quickly went 2 goals up, the Germans had reserves of energy on their side. The first time you played Germany, Kocsis scored 4 goals. What did Herberger do to stop him scoring in the final?
Herberger posted one of his players right by Kocsis' side, and it was his job to keep following him, to keep him out of good scoring positions, to push him away, so that he could not jump up to head the ball like he normally used to. So he didn't manage to do that. He just couldn't play his normal game.
The Germans completed their dramatic comeback to win the final 3-2, with Puskás being denied an equaliser in the last minute. But the heartbreak of defeat was soon put into a more sober perspective as Soviet tanks rolled into Budapest to crush an attempted uprising in 1956. Kocis and Puskás were abroad with Honvéd and decided to delay their return.
Engem is meg akartak büntetni 2 évre.
They wanted to punish us and put us in prison, me, Tibor and Kocis, for 2 years each. So I shook hands with one of the gentlemen and said, "Goodbye, I'm leaving." And after that I didn't visit Hungary for 25 years.
Like Puskás, Sándor Kocsis spent his exile in Spain, playing with great distinction for Barcelona. He died in 1979 at the young age of 50. Diagnosed with stomach cancer, Kocsis took his own life before the illness could do it for him. After the 1954 defeat and the trauma of the Soviet repression, Hungarian football was understandably muted for several years. But then in 1962 a young forward called Florian Albert emerged and they set off to Chile with high hopes.
Hello, Gary.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
Okay,
to meet with you.
everything is okay.
Everything is good.
That is our new stadium.
Yes, nice.
Here, players. That is only.
Coming into the national team when you did, there must have been a great pressure to follow the likes of Puskás, Hidegkuti and Kocsis, people like that.
De hát a Kocsis Sanyi az egy.
Kocsis especially was a person with great technical knowledge and skills. I always wanted to learn from him. You couldn't copy him, you just watched him and tried to follow and learn from him. He was unbeatable, especially in the air.
Hát ott verhetetlen volt.
How good was the Hungarian team of 62? You were good enough to beat England.
Hát igen. Miután.
Yes, we were in the same group with the English, the Argentinians and the Bulgarians. The Bulgarians were in the same group with us in 2 consecutive World Cups. I think the team in Chile could have had a chance to get into the final if we didn't have this unfortunate match where we lost 1-0 to the Czechs and missed facing the Soviets.
Hogy ismételten döntött játszani.
What are your memories of that match against England? You scored the winning goal.
I aged 3 years in those 10 seconds. In the end, there was a meter gap between the post and Wilson, and I managed to kick it in with my left foot.
Albert scored 4 goals in all, joining 5 other players in a share of the Golden Boot award. Apparently he got the laces.